Let's begin with updates on the planned #EndBadGovernance protest in Nigeria, where credible information at the disposal of the Nigeria police force revealed that some foreign mercenaries are involved in the planned nationwide protest slated for August 1st. This is according to Inspector General of Police Kayode Egbetokun, who briefed journalists in Abuja on Friday, asking all groups planning to participate in the demonstrations to submit their details to the commissioners of police in their respective states. During the briefing, the IGP commended patriots who have withdrawn from the protest due to apparent sinister motives and ignorance of those calling for violence. The social media has been buzzed with the End Bad Governance in Nigeria, meant to hold across the 36 states of the Federation and the FCT from August 1st to August 10th. Amidst the apprehension of a planned nationwide protest, the All Progressives Congress has urged organizers to reconsider their demand for President Bola Tinubu to scrap the 1999 Constitution, describing it as a tall order. The party's National Secretary, Ajibola Bashiru, conveyed this message in Abuja after a meeting with the Forum of APC state chairmen to discuss the protest's modalities. Bashiru said the renewed call for the president to abandon the constitution he swore to uphold is a mission impossible, as President Tinubu alone lacks the authority to unilaterally discard or alter the 1999 constitution. He also emphasized that the 15 demands outlined by the protest organizers are not issues to be addressed through protests. Meanwhile, a former governor of Kano State and NNPP leader, Rabiu Kwankwaso, is urging Nigerians to utilize the power of the ballot box to address the country's economic hardships instead of resorting to protests. And in a statement published on his official X handle on Saturday, Kwankwaso acknowledged the widespread frustration with bad governance, but cautioned against protests, citing the potential for violence and chaos. He attributed the economic crisis to poor leadership and called for good governance, transparency, and accountability. Kwankwaso also highlighted recent political and economic issues, including interference in Kano State's chieftaincy matters and the controversy surrounding the Samoa Agreement. He appealed to leaders to tackle the country's challenges and urged Nigerians to be patient and support the government in its efforts to succeed. A group of young people in Enugu State have urged citizens to avoid participating in any protest that could potentially destabilize both the nation and the state. The group, operating under the aegis of Young Innovative Group, stated on Friday that while the economic situation in the country provides sufficient reason for protests, people need to be cautious about the possibility of it being hijacked by criminals. The group's leader called on the federal government on the Enugu State and the Enugu State government to address the unemployment rate in Nigeria and the state.
Also, the singular honor to of this nature.
While the proposed nationwide hunger protest on August 1st, 2024 is justifiable, owing to the current state of affairs of our country, we call for peace and calmness in Enugu State and a rethink and retreat from the proposed protest by our dear youths. We are not oblivious of the possibilities of the proposed nationwide hunger protest being hijacked by perpetrators of evil and hoodlums. Hence, the youths of Enugu State must withdraw and distance ourselves from such destructions of our common heritage. We are also calling on the federal government and the state government under His Excellency Governor Peter Ndubisimba to engage Enugu youths in a dialogue on the best way to close the gap in unemployment ratio and poverty headcount index ratio in the state, especially among the youths.
Joining us to discuss the planned nationwide protest is the security analyst Salahuddin Hashim. Hello, Salahuddin. It's a pleasure having you on the news. Can you hear me? All right, please, can you go ahead and share your thoughts on the statement by the IG that foreign mercenaries are behind the planned protest? Okay, Salaudin, we can't hear what you're saying. We can't hear you at all. Please, can you unmute your mic?
Okay, I think the IG ought to have gone a step further to provide additional intelligence clarification where that can then further help local processing and the situation room to determine to what extent some kind of foreign interests are actually encroaching into the sovereignty. Unfortunately, the IG didn't get deeper. He only provided a little bit of a cosmetics into some of those perspectives where they believe that there were some external political interests who were therefore coming to offer some level of local destability. That for me is something perhaps they must have picked at Interpol level, and perhaps they must have picked that within the intelligence community. But again, it is very important to process that intelligence further, and then of course delineate it if it is either political or there is some level of economic interest why that is the case.
Okay.
Having said that, I think it is also important to put on the table that if the issue of foreign mercenaries is something that is established, then it is actually not new in the Nigerian historical engagement, particularly as it's occurred that during the Civil War, we saw the encroachment and the activities and intervention of foreign mercenaries. And of course, coming very closely lately, that even the Nigerian government have sought the assistance of foreign mercenaries in this regard. So that was why it is very good that the IG should have actually unpacked what he meant by foreign interests or mercenaries who are providing this sponsor. Are they providing the sponsor for purposes of political destabilization, or that there are some economic interests in the country that they are actually pursuing? So it is very important to have that clarification. With that said, I think again it is very important to put on the table that as we get into August 1st, where citizens want to freely express their interest, that again they must understand where the red line and the red tapes and then of course
okay, so just before you go ahead, Salaudin, kindly go ahead and speak to us on the implications of foreign mercenaries' involvement in nationwide protests on our national security. That's, you know, if it's actually going to happen.
It has a lot of consequences when you have foreign interests who are either providing some level of resources, either in terms of financial, human, of course, or logistical support to some kind of local destabilization. Then, of course, it tells a number of things. One is that it tells you very clearly that there is a near collapse of the intelligence architecture in the country, because again, that sort of engagement, if it is new, intelligence would have picked it. But if it has become very frequent and regular, then of course people will have seen it as a norm within the system. And that in itself is something that tells very clearly that the accountability within the security system has consistently declined, and that in itself has therefore made some level of anomaly irregular or a norm within the system. So when foreign investors or investment or foreign flows or finances come in, what are the description for those kind of support, and how, in what name and in what guise were those things coming in? So it is very important to look that even our financial system has not been able to establish the necessary intelligence radar that will pick suspicious transactions in events that these kind of things are happening. So because the only thing that foreign investment who is interested in political destabilization wants to do is to provide support and resources to those who want to locally move things on the ground, and then of course it comes in the name of resources. So what exactly has financial institutions done to be able to get this done? I think again we have not done so much as regards to this, and it tells very clearly again that both our entire security system, whether it is related to human security in the entire pyramid or specific to the intelligence within the financial community, also lacks the integrity and the capability to be able to indicate and offer credibility to the kind of information they put to the public space, because it is not sufficient, except again that what they're just doing is actually running the books and the manual step by step until they get some level of specificity.
Just earlier, you were about to, address the protesters and advise them on how to make sure to keep the peace while they protest. But aside the protesters, are going on a peaceful demonstration, what contingency plan and emergency response measures should be placed to address any potential violence or unrest that might be caused by the protesters or also foreign mercenaries' involvement in the protest? Because Nigeria is actually known for, they're known for fixing or finding a solution after it happens.
Yeah, we must be very proactive, and one of the things we must do is to quickly deploy crowd management intelligence amongst law enforcement agents to be able to help in terms of intervening, guide, and of course control, because what we are going to see in the next few days is just civil disobedience. Civil disobedience therefore mean that people would likely going to obstruct a regular flow of conventional activities. So what I would suggest is that law enforcement agents should provide guidance, and of course perhaps issue an SOP, a standard operating procedure, or some kind of a guide, and say, look, if this must happen, it is actually a democratic expression. And of course, as a student of democratic studies, I would love to really see that law enforcement agents provide support. Ambulance support should be deployed into strategic places. And I think NEMA should do that, because again, NEMA mustn't wait until casualties begin to reign in. NEMA should deploy their ambulance in strategic places and wait for instances like that. Law enforcement should deploy their men and personnel, not with sophisticated weapon, not with live ammo, but again, there are equipment that are supposed to support crowd management and control. So they should deploy those kind of personnel, and then of course the personnel should be guided, of course, with their helmet, with their shield, and of course batting. There should be water cannon ready. These are the kind of equipment you need for instances like this. So these things should be put in strategic positioning to be able to help guide. And of course, FRSC can come in to help in terms of understanding the routes they want to take and how to help them, guide them through the routes. So interagency response plan. What is the interagency response plan to what we already see? Because NSCDC therefore has the responsibility with critical infrastructure, deploying your personnel to critical infrastructures across the country to protect and guide, and then of course offer some level of interface. What are the strategic civil-military relations interventions and conversations that we must have? So every security agency has a role to play in this, and there must be an interagency communication or action plan that will help to guide what we're going to see in the next few days. Everyone who has the responsibility for their mandate should be able to come and work together within a situation room to contain, deter, prevent any form of casualty. What we want to see is free expression without any form of casualty.
All right, thank you so much, Alaudin, for speaking to us on this.
Thank you very much for having me.